And the Goat House is back after a crazy Week 17. Well, it's not quite finished yet. Actually, Washington and Philadelphia is going on right now. Obviously, everyone knows if Washington wins this game, then they are in. But we are turning this into a podcast and trying to get this up as a video. And this will be our recap video. A lot of videos to get to on the channel during this first playoff week. So excited for that. Hopefully, you can join us for that. Follow our Twitter at GoatHouse NFL and. Yeah, you'll be kept up to date there, and there'll be constant NFL updates during games. So, and some off-season talk as well. So check it out. Check out that Sided app. Everything, if you're watching on YouTube, is in the link. There's a link in the description of the comments for anything that you need there. But yeah, this is different too because it's kind of a recap and a podcast, and I got Junior and Dan with me, so we can go through some. First, we'll go through some of these games that happened here earlier on Sunday. Then we'll talk about who's in, who's out of the playoffs, and we'll talk about the matchups for this week. But the first game was Dolphins and the Bills, and I actually switched my pick. I think some of the other guys did as well. Switched my pick to the Dolphins because the Bills had a bunch of players out, a lot of guys resting on defense, mainly a lot of their top defensive players, and it was kind of known that Matt Barkley was going to get a significant amount of reps. So I switched to the Dolphins in a must-win game, and they kind of pooped the bed a little bit there in a must-win game. I don't know. Hey, who else switched their pick? I don't think Junior.
I switched my pick. Not a good game for Tua.
Let the record show I did not switch my pick.
The record shows that you did not switch your pick. The record also shows, yes, not a good game from Tua, not a good game from the Dolphins receivers either. They were dropping balls left and right. Devontae Parker fell down on an interception, but Tua did still really no excuses for him. Did not play the best game. But I'm not really worried about situations like that where a rookie quarterback has a little sloppy of a game. But what I'm worried about is the lack of trust the Dolphins have in Tua. And it's like one thing if they're not playing for anything, they're not making the playoffs or something like that, kind of just taking it easy, don't want to put them in bad situations. But they're winning in situation. They're obviously trying to win. And there's just no trust. And we don't really know the exact reason on why there's no trust. Only the Dolphins know it based off practice or what they saw in games. But there is a reason. At the end of the day, there is a reason. So that is a little bit of the concerning part. Now, I see a lot of people saying draft a quarterback at 3. 2 is a bust. That's a little extreme there, to say the least. So I'm definitely nowhere near that level. But we're lying if we sit here and say it's not a little concerning. You guys agree with that, or?
I'm just kind of weirded out. Like you said, there's a reason. Nobody knows,
Yeah.
and it's so strange. It's so strange.
Never would have thought that. I guess you can't say outperforming, but never would have thought that Jalen Hurts was, in a sense, doing better than Tua at this time. But,
Yeah.
Tough matchups for Tua today.
Yeah, it's a good look for the Bills. It's a good look for the Bills. It's a good look for that coaching staff, Brian Daboll, who's going to get possibly a head coaching job unless he wants to stay put in Buffalo. There's some rumors that he could. He just likes it there in Buffalo. But yeah, good look from him because next guy comes in, a bunch of backups come in, they're still able to light up a good defense. So really wasn't all on Tua. The defense really couldn't do much for the Dolphins either. So just in general, a good look for a Bills team. It's a hot football team, the hottest in football. And it's just a team. You kind of get that team feeling from them. And a lot of energy, a lot of focus going into the playoffs. So they are in. They're going to play the Colts. We'll talk about all the matchups and the seedings once we get through these games. But yeah, we'll move on to the next one. Won't spend a lot of time on this one. Ravens beat the Bengals 38-3. The Ravens needed to win to get in, and it was not only were they the better team, but we talked about it's a really good matchup. And yeah, that happened there. Just not a good match for the Bengals. The Ravens are, talk about the Bills being the hottest team in football. The Ravens are definitely up there with them. Seems like they're back. I think we kind of called that happening a few weeks ago before the Cowboys game. And so yeah, they're ripping right now. I don't think we have too many takeaways from this game. It's kind of when it is expected, and some maybe for the Ravens. But yeah, it's good to see them in the playoffs. For a little bit, I was worried that even when they were streaking still, I was a little worried that they were going to still miss the playoffs, and I'm not a Ravens fan, but I don't like that. I want to see the right teams I want to see the good teams in the playoffs. So that was my thinking. I don't know if anybody has any takeaways on the Ravens right now.
No, I mean, I don't know. I'm just the Ravens are just a weird team. It's such a weird team. They're they fall into that category for me that it just really depends on who shows up. It's like they go week to week on looking unreal than looking god awful.
Tell you what, if you run for 400 yards every game, you're doing something right. So
You're set.
They
Set.
they dominated. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't like win game. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm so happy the Titans won today. Just because like if you rush for that much yards and then blow the game, it just kind of takes away from that.
We'll get to the Titans, but yeah, that
We'll get
defense, I don't like that defense. If you're watching on YouTube right now, the video, I'm currently, if you see me looking over, I'm currently watching the Washington versus Eagles game at the same time. They're showing Alex Smith. He's got like a big brace underneath his sock on his leg, so that's a little scary, but it's a good thing it's there. But we're moving on to the next game. They're moving, by the way, Washington. They stopped the Eagles, but moving on to the next game, Steelers, Browns. I thought the Browns were gonna crank a Brown on this one. I don't know. I thought they were gonna do it. 24-22. The Browns win. They needed to win this game to get in, and they did that. The Steelers. It was a good thing the Steelers ended up sitting their starters. I think that was a good thing. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Browns, it looked like they were comfortable at first, like they were winning, not by a whole lot, but it felt like they were going to hang on. It's going to be okay. The Steelers started pushing back, and if you watch the end of this game, it was pretty wild. That's kind of the main focus the main part I wanted to focus on this game is, the ending, because the Browns got stopped. They went for it on 4th and 7 instead of punting the ball away. Yeah, that was rough. They didn't want to kick a field goal to give the Steelers good field position, but it's 4th and 7. Just punt the ball, try to pin them. If you get a touchback, they get a touchback. You're make Mason Rudolph drive the field. So I didn't understand that call decision by Stefanski. Steelers go down and score. And they did it pretty easily too. All of a sudden, Mason Rudolph was getting things going, so that was interesting. And then they failed the 2-point conversion. Mason Rudolph didn't really give Claypool much of a shot on that one. They kick an onside kick. The Browns guy kind of loses it a little bit, and the Steelers were very, very close to getting the ball. But the Browns still need to get the first down. Baker runs for it, and now the Browns are in the playoffs for the first time in 18 years. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I know I'm talking a lot. I'll give you guys a shot in a second, but yeah. Stefanski, I don't know. He didn't really, the last 2 games, he hasn't really called the best games. He hasn't, he's kind of backwards a little bit. And I'm almost hoping at this point that it's because he didn't really want to show too much for the playoffs. On top of that, we talked about during the week, they were likely going to play the Steelers again. So that would make a little sense. Let's hope that's it, because the play calling decision on 4th and 7, not good for Stefanski. That's unlike him the rest of the year. And then kind of going in what I said, the Steelers were probably playing the Browns again, most likely. And that's why it was good that the Steelers sat their starters. They weren't going to get the 2 seed anyways because the Bills ended up dominating the Dolphins. I guess they couldn't have predicted that. But so they didn't really show much for playing the Browns next week. So that's a good thing. So it's kind of a win in a way for the Steelers. Your guys' thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, take it away. Oh, I can go ahead.
I'm
probably
covering. I was going to say I was going to get over for the Browns, and I was going to come down to Cody Parkey field goal there for a minute. So if they got if they got that 2-point conversion at the end, and Browns have to go for anything from a 30-yard field goal on, I would be pretty nervous that Cody Parkey would be taking it. But in a sense, why the hell is he still on the roster? Like, I don't understand.
There's really nothing else out there, even though I guess this week some guys were getting, the Niners had a guy and the Titans had a guy that they picked up that I never heard of, and they were kicking pretty well, I guess. So I think teams make the mistake of, let's just go get this name that I've heard of before instead of just trying somebody new at the kicker position at least. It doesn't apply to every position. But for the kicker position, it's just like everyone that's like failing with or have kickers that fail or they're not doing well at the kicker position. Feels like they're just playing musical kickers. They're just like, here, you take this shit kicker, we'll take your shit kicker. Obviously not a trade, but just give the new guys a shot. That's like, but yeah, that's like I said, a couple guys that's never kicked before in the NFL, real games kicked today. I thought they were all right.
Yeah, it's so weird that like no teams like take chances on just like go get somebody who plays soccer. Like, why has nobody ever done that? That's what I don't know. There's definitely plenty of just like soccer players that would at least give it a shot.
I think the good ones probably rather play soccer.
But at the same time, field goals are very difficult as well. field goals are. I mean, I'm not here to say that field goals are easy and they should be expected, but they're difficult. You can't just expect some soccer player. Yeah, maybe if he had an off season to work on it, he might not be still as good as the best in the league.
Yeah, and they did make a few years ago, well, more than a few. They made the goalpost more narrow. I didn't think much of that right away, but then when I went to the Bears game with Dan, you got season tickets right behind the goalpost, and the first time I went since they did that, I was like, geez, these are pretty narrow. These are more narrow than I thought. So it's definitely not easy, but yeah, the kickers that consistently miss and are missing extra points like crazy right now, yeah, I think we got to move on from those guys. So.
Agree.
Yeah. So the Browns will be in the playoffs again. We'll talk about the matchup soon. The Steelers, I think that's a win for them, really. I know they could have won the game. That could have been a little better for their momentum, but they'll play each other again. Steelers, Browns. We'll talk about that soon. Like I said, the Vikings, the Lions scored 35 points and lost 37-35. Just a battle of no defenses in that game. No implications on this one, so won't talk too much. But yeah, I think the takeaway from this one is Justin Jefferson beating Randy Moss's Vikings rookie record, then not long after going on beating Anquan Bolin's single season record. So Justin Jefferson, you can debate, is what had the best rookie receiver season in NFL history. So that was pretty impressive. Justin Herbert, we'll talk about him in a little bit, did have a pretty good game as well. So the two Justins in a battle for the rookie of the year. Yeah, just kind of a back and forth game. No defense, like I said. Vikings missing a lot of guys. The Lions got ahead of Patricia built defense out there. So legitimate excuses for both teams. Marvin Jones continues to dominate the Vikings. It seems like a every time thing. And I think Kirk Cousins had a monster game. I was giving credit to Kirk on Twitter. I've been very impressed with him. And Terry McLaurin just scored for the Washington football team, 6-0. They're about to kick the extra point. But Kirk Cousins' second half of the year was just fantastic. At one point he had 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He ends the year with 35 and 13. So, he definitely needs to put a complete season together. But I thought he was pretty impressive. What else? Oh yeah, and I think that the Lions actually could have won this game. There was a terrible roughing the passer, maybe the worst of the year. They sacked Kirk Cousins on the goal line. Actually further back in the goal line, but the Vikings were on the goal line. It was 4th down, too. The Vikings ended up scoring a touchdown after that. So that was a very bad call. I have no idea why they called it. There wasn't much on the line in this game, so I guess that if there was, it would have been really bad, but it was really bad. So I don't know. Not much on that game, though. Not much on the line there.
I mean, I was concerned for the Vikings there. I was very concerned for a couple minutes. You can't go out like that.
What do you mean?
Like, you can't end a season on a loss to the Lions.
Oh, true. But they could have possibly. I don't know what pick they would have ended up if I don't know off the top of my head right now if they lost. But I know they could have possibly ended up with the 9th pick, and it's going to be quite the difference of what they get now. So 9th pick does look pretty good. So they were at the 13th pick, and they made themselves worse in terms of the pick. So that's not good. But yeah, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, that call though, like you said, that has to be one of the worst calls I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Real bad. Next game, Jets-Patriots. Not much on the line in this game. The Patriots won 28-14. They started off instantly with a score, so I was very confident the Patriots. And then they completely shut it down, and then the Jets were actually rolling. Darnold was rolling, and they got up 14-7. Then a trick play to Cam Newton for a touchdown, I believe it was, if I remember. I know it was a trick play to pass to Cam Newton. That got things rolling on top of Sam Darnold seeing ghost sometimes, but all the time against the Patriots. That turned it around. Patriots win 28-14. Really, we don't really need takeaways here. Well, I guess Darnold. I mean, they have to move on from Darnold, right? I mean, not move on, but they have to find somebody else, right? Are we all on board with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm in agreement.
Some people were starting to get on the Darnold train again, and it's just some people with their quarterbacks sometimes they just get, I don't know, they just want to insist on them or something. I don't even for the Jets. I don't even know if it's Jets fans actually. I see a lot of like other fans like just believe in Darnold maybe because they were just high on him before the draft. During the draft, I don't know. But it was rumored this morning that the Jets are. It's kind of this is like a weird rumor, and it was legit. Like it's legit news. From Schefter, Rappaport, whatever the Schefter, Rappaporty. We're going to mix them together. So both of them maybe. That the Jets are going to make a big trade, it said, specifically trade this offseason. That's kind of weird, and like to know that at this time. It's like weird that they know they're going to do it. Like, how is that in play? It almost sounded like it was in place, which can't be. So I don't know if that means they're going to trade Darnold. I don't know if that means they're going to trade out of the the second overall pick. I don't know how they would know, especially the draft one. I don't know how they would know they were going to do that already. Like, they're going to accept any offer. Like, teams don't know where their picks are at yet. Well, now maybe they do, most of them. Are they going to trade for a Matt Stafford, Carson Wentz? The Carson Wentz news came out today that he wants to be traded, but how do they know? They know they're going to do it. Does that quarterback really want to play for the Jets? Are you hurting yourself? I don't know. It's a little confusing.
They're going to use their picks to trade for Stafford, and then that's going to be what they do.
That's a bad decision. It's a bad decision. Stafford's good, decision. But he's not you're not going to win anything. With your current team and Stafford, like, you're going to be better. You're not going to go from the goal to Super Bowl. You're not going to go from the second overall pick to Super Bowl. Like, it wouldn't make any sense, but somehow I can see it, something like that. But it's just kind of it's definitely as a football fan, I love moves. I like off-season moves, and that and the draft probably my favorite time of the year, like when those things happen. So it's kind of like good news for me, but it's like weird. Like it's weird news that like we know they're gonna make this big move. So I'm very curious to see what it is. But the Patriots end off with a win. We can move on to the next game, which was Cowboys and the Giants. So this one was a pretty big one. Giants win 23-19. The Giants start off really well. Then there was a fumble, so that kind of early on that kind of killed the momentum. Felt like the Giants were going to roll. And the Giants started to get back up though. Then they were kind of rolling. It felt like they were going to win the game easy. And then they kind of shut down, and Daniel Jones wasn't playing too well, and then the Giants were kind of back and forth. Like we seen during the year, like, should we just go conservative because we don't want Daniel Jones to turn it over, and then. But then when he does, sometimes they didn't do that, and it ended up being a tipped interception at one point. So, and then the Cowboys are coming back. They have a shot on the last drive of the game, and CeeDee Lamb drops the ball. That was crucial. He might have scored on that. Probably not, but it probably would have got to the 1 or 2 yard line. And then Dalton, bad move, throws it up for grabs in the end zone, interception. And it was pretty much over. It felt like at that point. And Jalen Hurts just threw an interception. 7-0 Washington. They got the ball. And that actually has to do with this game because if Washington wins, if they continue to hang on to the lead here, they're going to go in. This game won't even matter. The Cowboys-Giants, that is. But, Giants get the ball back to run the clock. Gallman gets a first down but fumbles the ball. He falls back on it. That was the right call in the end. I'm not sure how the refs saw that one, like live. They kind of changed their call too, but they got it right. Leonard Williams was all over the place in this game for the Giants. Their defensive lineman. He had a really good season. Started off very good for the Jets, then slowed up. They traded him. The Giants ended up getting him. He wasn't doing too much, and now he really broke loose again this year. Monster game for him. Giants are in with a Washington loss. Not looking good at this moment.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you see Dalton gets just stomped on?
Which play was that? Was on the last play?
I think he was like sliding, and one of the guys on defense came up from behind, and like the left hand like that was bracing his slide, somebody just stepped on it, and then it was just gushing blood. The whole he put a glove on, and you can just see blood through it. It was a little Kurt Schilling move right there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did see it. They zoomed in on his glove. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little Kurt Schilling.
My takeaway from this game is how do the Cowboys just not try and feed Zeke? I don't know. He had 14 carries.
Bad.
No, I understand that, but you kind of have to know going into next year if he is for sure bad or for sure, who you think he is. Like, you can't go into this game with 14 rushes and Dalton out rushes your star running back. You can't.
Dalton
do that.
was running on him pretty well. I think I tweeted at one point, is they going against Lamar Jackson or Andy Dalton? Like, he was getting loose. But yeah, I think the problem was Zeke was they were coming from behind, so they didn't want to run too much clock, I'm assuming. But who knows there. Yeah, Dalton was sacked. Even though he escaped a lot of sacks and ran for a good amount of yards, he was sacked 6 times. I didn't see the final stats. Leonard Williams, he had 3 sacks. He had a monster game, but it was more of his pressure, his presence. He had a ridiculous game. That was Top of my head right now, I'm probably forgetting somebody, but that might be the Defensive Player of the Week performance right there. It has to be. But yeah, the Giants are in if the Eagles can pull it off. But the Eagles sitting a lot of guys here in this game, and it's not looking good early. So it's tough. That's tough. Falcons. The difference between the Giants getting in and not getting in is pretty big in terms of the draft selection, though. So maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. Falcons, Bucks. The Bucks were playing for the 5 seed. And it's a good thing they won because the Rams actually won, and the Bucks would end up at the 6 seed. But I don't know if it really mattered. Oh yeah, playing Washington's or New York is the Giants is a pretty good deal, I guess. But Buccaneers played the Falcons 2 weeks ago, and they started off really slow. They had to come back, and all of a sudden they had this burst of offense, like crazy offense. Finally, what we were waiting for, and they came back and won. And they had a crazy amount of offense against the Lions. Yeah, it was the Lions, but still last week. And now they play the Falcons again, and they get a crazy amount of offense again. They score 44 points, 44-27. But this time it was kind of backwards. They were letting the Falcons come back a little, opposite of last time the Buccaneers came back in the Falcons. But I'm still impressed with the Buccaneers. Mike Evans is hurt. I thought it was going to be much worse. They're saying it's nothing for sure yet, but they're saying it's not as serious as they thought, but that doesn't mean he probably could be out for next week. We're going to see. I don't want to make any assumptions, I guess, but that's what was reported. But still, this offense is feeling it. The Falcons have been locked down in a lot of good offenses. They haven't really been winning, but they've been locked down. They're shutting down Mahomes. They're shutting down some really good quarterbacks. I think I was talking about last week. The only quarterbacks to play well on the Falcons were Russell Wilson and Dak, and those were like the first 2 games of the year. Nick Foles and Tom Brady. So pretty much all those but Dak Prescott are Super Bowl MVP quarterbacks. So other than that, the Falcons shut down. It's like a lot of good offense, a lot of good quarterbacks. So the Buccaneers have been pretty impressive. Antonio Brown getting going. Tom Brady's slinging it, dropping some dimes to Godwin. We saw one. The Falcons' problems are on offense with the lack of the running game, even though Gurley started the season off really good. And Matt Ryan just seems slower. He seems off. He just seems really off. It's really time to start looking for the future there. But
I think they do.
Yeah, that's a good question. What pick do they have right now? The Bengals lost, right? I think the Falcons have the 5th pick. The Falcons, the 4th
definitely
pick?
Get a quarterback
5th
there.
pick. Yeah, I think the top 5 is top of my head. Yeah, the top 5 is Jags, Jets, Dolphins from the Texans, Bengals, Falcons. If I'm correct, that would be the top 5. So yeah, they have a shot. I think they should. I think you don't want to just take one, but you're sitting at 5. Pretty solid shot to get better for the future. So yeah, but the Bucks are rolling. I'm excited for the NFC playoffs because I think it's kind of wide open. There's a lot of teams that can compete and make it, and the Bucks are one of them.
They released the schedule in terms of when teams are playing.
Now I know the times of the games, but I don't know who's playing at what time slot yet. I think they'll announce at halftime during the Sunday night game. 10-0 Washington, by the way. But yeah, the Falcons will look to retool or rebuild, ? Buccaneers getting hot at the right time. Packers, Bears, the final was 35-16. I'll let the Bears guys take it away who saw every snap of the game.
That'd be my dog.
Was that Old Yeller?
It was. Yeah, the Bears, I'm just,
Hey, they're
my
in,
only
man.
My only takeaway is I hope Roquan's good to go for next week. That's my hope.
I was really scared about Montgomery early and Mooney. Mooney was feeling it and he got hurt.
Mooney got lit up. Absolutely lit up.
Montgomery got hurt and he looked like he was in some pain, but then he came back in. That was a scary situation. So that was good news. But hopefully Mooney, Roquan, like you said, hopefully those guys are. Mooney was looking really good. So that's some, I guess, the positive takeaways from the Bears there.
I feel
only
like
positive takeaway that I have is that we're big Rams guys. But are we really big Rams guys? Do we
big
want to
Leonard
be
Floyd
here in the
guys?
playoffs?
Yeah, do you want to be?
Yeah, I don't think we want to be. That's
I think if you won that game, you definitely would want to be, but losing that game.
Yeah, I wanted to earn it.
Yeah.
But I will say that as far as matching up versus would it have been Saints versus we're playing the Saints. But who would we have played if we would have won? Would it have been the Packers?
Yeah.
We'll go with it. I would rather play the Saints.
No.
First round.
No. They would have played the Saints either way. They would have played the Saints either way. If the Bears
All right,
won and
we're
the
exactly
Cardinals,
where we wanted to be.
yeah, if the Bears won and the Cardinals won, then they would have played the Seahawks.
Ooh.
I think they match up better. The Seahawks are the toughest team. They're going to be the toughest team to predict for the playoffs. We'll talk about them in a little bit. So it depends on which Seahawks would have showed up. But I'm going to say they probably rather play the Saints. I don't know, though. With the Saints, we probably should save it for. We'll talk about matchups soon here. It should be a good game between the Saints, but yeah, Rodgers had some dimes in this game. Probably should have another touchdown. Valdes-Scantling dropping one, but then he had a few dropped interceptions actually. That second half, even though the Packers scored 35 points, I thought most of the second half the Bears were doing a pretty decent job on defense. I thought
they were definitely.
I think that we need to get on a milk carton. We got to get an Eddie Jackson picture, just because he has been MIA in terms of making the big plays. I don't know what happened. Drops an easy pick. That pick was in his paws. Just absolutely drops it. I don't understand. And it definitely, there's a lot that has to do with it. It's all the corners are banged up. Buster's hurt. Jalen Johnson's hurt. I mean, the pass rush can't get anything, and it's just that's the most frustrating thing to watch, I guess, is when a front seven or a defensive line is good, and you just they just can't get to them.
Yeah.
I'm done with the Bears.
You're done. You're done with.
You're not.
No,
he's not.
Until the
playoff matchup.
I need morning. I need morning.
We're gonna talk about them though when we start talking matchups.
We're talking matchups soon. The Packers get the 1 seed. The Bears get the 7 seed. Two teams in the playoffs there. Raiders and Broncos. Raiders win 32-31. Kind of a back and forth game. Just talking about the end real quick because the game didn't matter a whole bunch, or it didn't matter at all actually. Well, first off, John Gruden was looking extra fat in that little hoodie shirt he was wearing. He shouldn't wear that ever again. And it comes down to the end. Josh Jacobs scores, and they go for the win. I like that, and they get it. But I didn't like going empty set because Jacobs just ran it in from the 1 or 2 yard line, and then you're going for the 2-point conversion, and you don't have Josh Jacobs in the backfield, so it pretty much tells the Broncos, hey, we're passing the ball, all right, and we're probably going to Waller. Okay, and Waller got it. He almost dropped it. All right, and Raiders win. But then the Broncos get a shot. And there's a bad call. You ever have the moments where you want to throw a flag on the refs? I'm not talking bad. There's people who probably want to do it in bad calls. Just normal bad calls. But the situation, I just want to throw a flag on the ref because the Broncos catch the ball downfield and it looked like he was down, but then the ball came out, and the Raiders are trying to get the ball. Broncos are trying to get on the ball to run a play or spike it, whatever. Fangio wasted a timeout, by the way, when the Raiders had a ball. That wasn't good. But then the refs just huddle up, and they call delay of game on the defense because they were taking the ball. But if you notice, the whistle never blew until the Raiders had the ball. So that's kind of the moment where I want to throw the flag on the refs. You threw a flag on the Raiders because of your mistake, it just makes no sense. And it didn't even matter, but it still gets to me, So the Raiders and then the Broncos who attempted a 70-yard field goal in this game got blocked. They attempt a 60-yarder, which for some reason I felt like he was going to make it. It got blocked, so 2 blocked field goals for the Raiders were pretty big, even though I didn't expect them to make the 70-yarder. So the Raiders hang on to win. Moving on. Jags and Colts, a must-win game for the Colts. If they would have lost, then the Dolphins would end up being in, even though they laid a stinker today. Colts just dominating from the start, just gigantic holes, insane holes. Taylor's getting loose. Naheem Hines catching the ball, getting loose. They're up. The Giraffe isn't looking too good. And the Colts kind of shut down. Frank Reich, a good offensive mind, but kind of just shuts down when they got leads. And that's kind of showed up. And Phillip Rivers throwing interception on a deep ball. It was kind of just reminding me of last week against the Steelers. And I thought the Jags were going to come back and win. And the Colts finished the job, though, win 28-14. So the Colts are going to the playoffs. And I don't have any. I don't mean to knock the Dolphins. They had an impressive season, way better than I expected. They got a bright future, young talent. They got the 3rd overall pick. They got their own pick in the 1st round, so that was great. I love Brian Flores. So what I'm about to say, I'm not really trying to come after him, I promise. But the Colts being in, I think the right teams are in. I think if the Colts, even if the Colts would have lost to the Jags, I guess you could have said that they didn't deserve it. But I still feel like the right teams are in. I think these are the 7 best teams in the AFC. So, a little happy, just as a football fan in that aspect. But the Dolphins, again, they're a good team, better than expected, good defense. Some things to figure out there going forward. But yeah. You guys got anything on that?
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing? Moving on, the Titans and the Texans, a wild game. I said all week it's gonna be a scary one. The Titans are gonna make it interesting, and I thought I was wrong on that because the Titans were really dominating this game. Derrick Henry was running wild. I mean, everyone runs wild in the Texans, but Derrick Henry is dominant, gets over 2,000 rushing yards. He got over 2,000 when they were losing the game at one point. But, yeah, they were dominating this game, and all of a sudden I let the Texans come back. Later in the game, they had a 4th down that they should not have went for. They should have punted, and Tannehill gets sacked, and that changes the game. The Texans go and score. Then the Titans they score, and then they get called back for holding. And I wish there was a stat on this. How many touchdowns were called back from penalties this year in the NFL? I think we had to hit a record. I mean, I watched an insane amount of football, across the NFL. It had to be the record. How many times a touchdown was taken away from a penalty? Insane. But I figured, it was probably holding, and then I see the replay, and it was just a dominant, pancake block, not even the slightest hold, and they called it back. So that was weird because there's holding on every play, and they kind of pick and choose when they call it. And when they call it, it usually is holding, so it's not super sketchy. But when they pick and choose, it is a little bit. But this one was very strange. The Titans score again. They score again. Tannehill reaches across, scores. They call a touchdown as a flag. You can see Tannehill goes in and asks the ref what the call is, and he celebrates and saying it's on the Texans, and he goes to the sideline. Texans. Then the refs have a big huddle, and apparently they changed the lineup in the neutral zone to a legal shit, or I don't know what it was, something weird on the Titans. So that was odd. Take that touchdown away. Tannehill almost throws a pick. Then it's very scary. Bad decision to throw it, but then he runs it in. He had a couple really good reads on read options. Ran it in. The Texans go down. They're going to go score, but they go down, and the Titans had a big sack on that, so they've have barely been able to get sacks all year. They get a sack that was huge, absolutely huge. Ends up forcing a field goal. And then, so I'm thinking overtime, and Tannehill throws an absolute rocket to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's speed and hands help as well, but that was a rocket ball from Tannehill. And then the backup kicker, because Kostowski's on the COVID list, makes it, but there was an icing of the kicker, doesn't count, then doinks it in, and it goes in. If it was Parkey, who was on the Titans last year, it would have been a doinking out, so good thing they didn't have Parkey. Titans win, they win the AFC South. That's what I got.
Well, you didn't mention Derrick Henry.
I didn't mention Derrick Henry?
You didn't mention the
2,000
yard
in Derrick Henry. He dabbled in it.
I mentioned
it. Yeah,
check the tape, man. I mentioned it.
All right, I'll check the tape on that one.
I think Birch really was trying to get him that. I mean, obviously they needed to win the game, but do you think they were like, all right, well, we want to win the game, but we also want to get Derrick Henry's 2,000 yards?
No,
34 carries. Yeah, Texans D.
Yeah, so it's a Texans run defense. You have to.
It's terrible.
If you pass 3 downs, 1, 2, 3, and pass, you can't. You can't do it. You can't. I mean, you can, but you can't. You probably can get away with it, but it's one of those situations where the play caller is probably thinking, Arthur Smith's probably thinking, yeah, we're down, maybe we got to pass, but if I call pass on all these downs and don't give the ball to our best player and we fail, it's going to look really bad. So maybe one of those situations.
Very possible, but I also think that. I guess they did pass. They had 27 attempts. Tannehill, which is a good amount. But
Titans defense. The Texans defense is. It's terrible, but it doesn't even matter. The Titans defense is that the worst defense in the playoffs? It's got to be. I got to run through the teams here. It's got to be. It's bad. It was really good last year too. It was so good down the stretch last year. I don't know. Except when they played the Chiefs, but that's the Chiefs last year. Yeah, so I'm a little scared about the Titans defense, but they're in the playoffs. Their offense is It's a very good offense. Very good offense. Talk about the matchup soon again. Chargers-Chiefs. Justin Herbert ends the season on a high note there, battling Justin Jefferson. Justin Herbert I don't know which Justin I'm saying right now. Herbert battling Jefferson for the Rookie of the Year, and he's giving him a good battle there. So this game started with a Henny quick touchdown. They got Pringle going, and then they scored. I think the first 2 times they touched the ball, and I already saw the tweets coming in that Patrick Mahomes not even that good. It's just the Chiefs offense. That didn't work out. 38-21, Chargers win. Yeah. Not much on the line of this game, so I don't have a whole bunch of takeaways. Let me see. I didn't get the chance to see the kid's stat line. 302 yards, 3 touchdowns for the kid, Justin Herbert. He also had a rushing touchdown, so 4 total touchdowns. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Who is it? Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson. What are you guys thinking?
I think it's going Justin Herbert, but I want it to be Justin Jefferson.
I would agree with Dan there.
I think we gotta get a quarterback in there, or sorry, wide receiver in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, with Jefferson breaking the record, but Herbert was so damn impressive this year too. It's a toss-up one. I feel like there's like 2 different awards, like the actual award and like the Pepsi Rookie of the Year. Isn't that like 2 different or something like that? I don't know. Maybe one will get one will get the other. I don't know how they do that these days, but. Yeah, we'll have our awards next week. I'll have a video of my awards and fan voted awards. We were talking about, I don't know when we're going to do it. Remember we were going to do like with all of us like normal awards, but then we're going to make up like a bunch of Goat House awards.
Yeah.
We got to do that.
I'm in.
Danny Provolone, Man of the Year. Who's going to take it? I don't know. The Vikings got to win some kind of award for their. They actually beat it, but they had one more sack as a team this year than Jared Allen did the 2011 season. So Jared Allen had one last sack than the entire team this year. And the Vikings leader in sacks this year was Yannick Ngakoue, who was only on the team for 6 weeks. He led the team with 5 sacks. So I think the Vikings deserve some award for that one. I don't know what that award is, but they deserve one. Let me tell you, they earned it.
I think Zim
is
not
not
getting
to the quarterback award.
The what?
Not getting to the quarterback award.
Something along those lines. What'd you say, Junior?
I think Zim is out the door.
No, they're gonna blame it on the guys missing, which there was quite a bit of guys missing for the defense. But he's supposed to be. I mean, he has been one of the best defensive minds, but you think he would get the job done? Maybe not down the stretch. I mean, they were playing with practice squad guys down the stretch, but some other games earlier in the year, they think they could have got the job done. So they're not going to fire anybody. They're not going to fire anybody. But next year they'll have Danielle Hunter back. They'll have Michael Pierce back. They will have Eric Kendricks missed last quite a few games to kind of get them out of the playoffs. Lost some games during that time. Anthony Barr missed the whole season pretty much. So they'll get a little better here, but it's still not going to be the same Vikings defense as it used to be. But Danielle Hunter they're really missing. But yeah, Chargers win.
That's former Jets linebacker Anthony Barr.
Yeah. Saints Panthers. Saints take care of business. They're without all their running backs. Taysom Hill fills in pretty well. Felt like he was more of the running back. Jets have officially fired Adam Gase.
Oh, stop it!
Officially parted ways with Adam Gase. Official.
That's incredible.
It is official. I want to see these Taysom Hill rushing stats here. 7 for 41. Ty Montgomery, I didn't even realize it. I didn't see a whole bunch of this game. Ty Montgomery ran 18 for 105.
Whoa.
I was hoping to see more of my guy Tony Jones Jr. He ran 3 for 13 though. It's good average. 4.3. Saints dominant in this performance as they should be. They're the 2 seed. My takeaway is Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know what happened to him. He was looking good in the past, but he was looking really good to start the year. In a pretty disastrous stretch of the season. Like he declined every step of the way. Pretty disappointing. Pretty disappointing there. So the Panthers, even though they gave him a big contract, they will continue to search for their future quarterback. You would have to imagine.
Think so? He's got a huge contract.
Yeah, but you got to get back. I mean, he did get hurt at some point, and it felt like it was after that when he started. It actually was like right. So that could have been what it was. But you can't just blame it all on that. He's just not playing well, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I want to see what the Jags do in terms of their head coaching situation, because like they fire Marone, and then it's just like we got the first overall pick, so whoever we bring in gonna have Trevor Lawrence. That's a nice little setup there.
It's a nice gig.
It's a nice gig. Even the Jets gig, it might be nice. You got some good draft position.
Depends on what that trade they have set up apparently is. I don't know.
Right, that's why you get out the GM before whatever that is happens, because you know it's gonna be bad.
Yep. Seahawks.
You think it's like Frank Gore for a first rounder?
Something along those lines. I had to think about what you said for a second there. I had to think about if it was a legit trade. Seahawks and the 49ers. Seahawks pull it off 26-23. A bit of a comeback. They had 6 points for it felt like forever in this game, and the Niners were kind of pulling away. They were actually able to move the ball. And as soon as the Niners took like a 2-score lead, the Seahawks kind of flipped the switch. They turned it on, and they went and won the game pretty much when they had to score. Kind of think the same thing as the Rams game last week, like a lack of offense. Their defense basically won the game, but when they absolutely had to score, they went out and scored. So it felt like kind of the same thing here, even though they weren't playing for anywhere near as much as they were last week. Last week playing for the NFC West Championship, winning that. This week they were pretty much locked in the 3 seed. I mean, there was scenarios that didn't happen, but that they could have got a better seed. Yeah, so good comeback. They're going in with some momentum. I definitely want to talk about, I guess what we're about at that point of the podcast video where we talk about the matchups, but I'm going to save what I want to say about the Seahawks for the matchups we talk about. But then the Cardinals, you guys are huge Rams guys. Rams beat the Cardinals. John Wolford basically beat Shrevler, but Kyler Murray did come back in 18-7. The pick six was the turning point in this game. And a lot of people thought it was offsides. Live, I did think it was offsides. I think Shrevler thought he had a free play there too, so that's why he whipped it there. So that's a tough blow. And that pick six, they only scored 7 points at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, they need to score more points and get the job done. It's unfortunate Murray got hurt. I thought he was going to come back in earlier because he was warming up in the second quarter. Yeah, you do got to score more points, but yeah, that was a crucial moment in the game there. And then the Rams get the job done. I see people saying Wolford's better than Goff. It's kind of ridiculous. The playbook was a little limited with Wolford, and also Goff threw for 350 yards and beat the Cardinals, scoring 38 points last time they played them. So there's really not too much logic behind it. But the Rams get the win. They're in the playoffs. Yeah. You guys huge Rams guys, or you guys not huge Rams? Maybe you didn't want it. We already talked about that. Maybe you didn't want to be in.
No, I think I'm a Rams guy because I don't think Goff is. I mean, I guess you're just thinking about who you want to play in the playoffs with, like Goff hurt. Now Kyler was hurt too, so it doesn't. I don't know. To me, I wouldn't matter.
While I wasn't watching, the Eagles scored. It's 10-7 Washington.
Ooh.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see the. I personally want to see the Cardinals. I mean, obviously there's some implications with the Bears, and I wanted them to lose, but I wanted to see Kyler in the playoffs. I wanted to see kind of how that would look, but yeah, did he have a hamstring issue? I know he had ankle, right? Then he looked like he was like holding his hamstring or something.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal was in game there.
Like holding his butt cheek.
Is he a butt cheek problem?
Some kind of butt cheek problem, I think.
His butt cheek or something.
Is there some time to rest that butt cheek up for now?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the matchups. Let's see something here. So hold on. I'm getting alerts right now. Alvin Kamara has a shot to play in the playoff game because it is supposed to be Sunday. Saints Bears will be on Sunday.
No.
I expect them to do that since it wasn't set yet. So it will be the Packers get the 1 seed in the NFC. The Saints will play the Bears 2 versus 7. We're going to have our picks video up early in the week, so we don't need to make picks here. But what stands out to me is the last time these two teams played, they went to overtime, and the Bears were playing pretty bad football at that time. They're playing much better football now, so that could mean the Bears have a pretty good shot there. So that's a good argument for the Bears. The Saints. I like their defense against Trubisky. I think The Saints were jumping routes all day today. They dropped a couple interceptions. Saints were jumping routes against the Panthers, though. Those guys love to attack the ball. The underneath passes, the underneath throws, and it seems like the Packers could have done that a couple times today against Trubisky. They were kind of close to doing it. So that that could be the strength, I guess, for the Saints versus the Bears, but. Yeah, I don't know what either team's identity is right now. That's why they're a little confusing going into the playoffs. Because the Saints, the first portion of the year, they were more of a offensive team. The defense was struggling. In the middle of the year, the offense was struggling, and the defense was just locked down, like the best in football. And then Breeze came back, and they were starting to score a lot more points, but they were giving up a lot more points, except for this week against the Panthers. But they gave up a ton to the Vikings and the Chiefs. But those are two very good offenses, I suppose. So I don't know. Can we trust in the Saints in the playoffs? What they've done in the past in the playoffs been disappointing, to say the least. What are they going to show up at the same time? Offense, defense. What's more of their identity? Looking at the Bears, defense is one of the best in football going into the year, and then for the first portion of the season, and then they were kind of had to hold up for most season. I should say they were kind of had to hold up their offense, carry the offense, and now the offense is getting better, and the defense is giving up more yards, more points. I know they had some guys in and out, but yeah, I guess it's tough to figure out what the identity is of these teams going into this game. So it's definitely one I'm looking forward to.
And take it away, man.
As far as matchups are concerned, I think I mentioned before I like the Saints matchup. Now that I'm thinking about it, especially if Roquan's out, it makes me nervous on those underneath routes because we saw like the alternative with Josh Woods in there trying to keep up with wide receivers. It just did not look good, and kind of tell how a missing Roquan Smith can affect Bears defense, even though the Bears defense in the past couple weeks has been pretty rough. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still upset with the Bears right now.
Anything could happen. Anything could happen in the playoffs.
Anything could happen. That's
the
true.
Saints usually do lay stinkers in the playoffs, so I don't know. Anything could happen. That is. It's a big game. That might be a good game, actually. 3-seed Seahawks playing the 6-seed, the Rams. What stands out about this one? McVay always just beat the Seahawks. It seemed like how it always went, and that's really not a reason to pick the Rams if you were going to pick them. And the last time they played, which was just last week, the Seahawks won. The Rams moved the ball a little better than the Seahawks did, but then the Seahawks defense clutched up in the end zone. So that game actually could have went either way. Based on most of that game, it almost felt like the Rams could have won that game. Should have actually. I kind of felt that way at one point, not very end, but. So that actually could be a pretty good game. But the Seahawks may have figured something out. Playing against McVay, playing against Goff, they made him look a little sloppy. He might have figured something out. But then you got Will Goff even play. Broke his thumb, had surgery. Broke his thumb against the Seahawks. Will he be back? Is a shot that he could somehow. If he's back, is he full strength? If it's Wolford, I don't know if we think he will win. But my problem with the Seahawks, another team, what's their identity? But I talked about during the Niners game. I was going to circle back to it. In the Niners game, when they were when they had 6 points and they weren't doing much, I'm thinking is this offense really struggling that much, or are they trying to save stuff for the playoffs? Because I've seen them do that before, and they turn it on in playoff time. Russ in playoff time. And I was kind of thinking, and then the Niners continued to extend their lead. I'm like, God, the Seahawks offense might be bad now, but then all of a sudden, when they got down 2 scores, this different offense came alive, and they went and scored. So now I'm starting to think maybe they weren't going all out. I mean, they're trying, but are they calling plays or the game plan like they are in the playoffs to try to save stuff, to try to hide stuff, hide tape? It's a possibility. Defense played great down the stretch. The offense played poorly, but there's a scenario where I could see that it kind of flips back to normal, where their defense doesn't play. It's not going to be god-awful like it was early in the year, but I can see it kind of going nowhere near as good as it's been playing, but I can see the offense playing a lot better. But in the Seahawks, it depends on who's that quarterback for the Rams. I think the Seahawks-Rams should be a pretty good matchup as well.
I like it. That's nice little there's some history there. That's why I like that matchup.
Yeah, if you're the Rams, you got to be a little excited about it, but something about the Seahawks in the playoffs, that's a team that you don't want to cross.
Yeah, it's tough to bet against the Seahawks.
And then the 4-5, again, currently I'm watching Washington versus Philadelphia. Washington's up 10-7. It's 6 minutes left in the second. Eagles kind of making a push right now. But either way, the Buccaneers they're gonna play. It actually could be a good matchup because they're going to play a good defensive team, whether it's Washington or New York or the New York Football Giants, the football team of the Football Giants. And the Buccaneers have struggled this year when they play good defenses. They played the Giants earlier in the year, and the game came down to the last second where the Giants could have won the game. So I do think the Bucs offense is better since then. So, spoiler, I like their chances, but it is interesting. Did the Buccaneers actually get better? Can they overcome playing good defenses? Because I feel like the entire team is better if Tom Brady is on his game. So if they have Tom Brady off his game, that's where it's a little scary. Will Mike Evans play is the other situation. So I was actually thinking they would probably rather play Washington, but the Bucs, that is, because they struggled with the Giants last time. But I'm kind of changing my mind on that. I think they would rather play the Giants because I just don't. Daniel Jones, will he outduel Tom Brady and take care of the ball? I just don't really think so. So, but right now it's looking like Washington so far.
Wait, who's Washington playing?
Washington or the Giants playing the Buccaneers.
Ooh.
It's going to be in the NFC East house.
What's a goat house guarantee?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I know about that, man.
Washington defense is nice. It is so nice.
It's nice.
We're heating up.
Let's see. Let's see the AFC. We got the 2 seed. The Chiefs got the bye. They're the 1 seed. The 2 seed, the Bills, play the Colts, the 7 seed. Interesting matchup because the Colts got a little more defense, and the Bills maybe have seen recently. I guess you can debate that with the Steelers. Steelers were beat up though, and so can they create turnovers? See in the past, Josh Allen, he's been money. He's been on fire, MVP alike. Not saying he's going to win it, or that would be my pick. I can make a case for it, but. Those games sometimes come up, not recently, but where he turns the ball over a bit. If the Colts can force that, they can win the game. But I don't know if I really like the matchup for the Colts because I think that, can they keep up with the Bills? The Bills have been creating turnovers on defense, and Phillip Rivers has been turning the ball over. But if the Colts come out, establish a run, manage time possession, that'll throw off the Bills. The Bills do struggle to run the ball a bit. So, the Bills are pretty hot right now, though.
I think they're the hottest team in the league right now. You don't want to see them.
Gotta be the hottest team in the league. Steelers-Browns, so rematch from this week. Like I mentioned, Steelers didn't really show much resting their stars, so that was kind of good. In their home this time around, maybe they wanted the Browns again. When they went full go against each other earlier in the year, the Steelers whomped them pretty good. The Steelers were also playing better ball then. The Browns were playing better ball as of late compared to then. And Jalen Hurts just ran in a touchdown, so the Eagles have taken the lead. Wow. And I did switch my pick to Washington, so that's something.
That's good. What
was I saying? Steelers, Browns. Yeah, I do think
they wanted them again.
I think the Browns might have saved some stuff too, though. I don't think Stefanski called his actual game today. I think that's how I'm thinking. I don't think he did against the Jets either, but yeah, should be a pretty good game, rival game in the playoffs. Looking forward to it. Anybody got anything? I guess I do worry about, which Big Ben's going to show up, and can the Steelers establish the run, something they have not been able to do. The Browns need to establish the run to win the big games. They have a shot to do that early. We'll see if they can do it. And then we got Titans-Ravens 4-5. They played each other in the playoffs last year. The Titans pulled the upset. They had a really good game plan for Lamar Jackson. Titans defense was pretty damn good then, though. Now it's not. They played each other earlier in the year or midseason, maybe a little after midseason, and it was kind of a back-and-forth game. Then Derrick Henry happened. He went bonkers and ended the game there with the touchdown run, and the Ravens really struggled to tackle Derrick Henry. I think the Titans were kind of in a little bit of a cold spot there, but they felt like they were still good. The Ravens they're much better than they were then. I think the Ravens. What I'm getting to. I think both teams are better than they were in that particular week. So I'm looking forward to it. It's third time to charm for the Ravens to win. The Titans defense isn't that good, but they're not going to worry too much about the pass. So the Titans defense seems to be much better when they they game plan correctly. They focus on one thing, and the Ravens are a team you can focus on one thing. Stopping the run, stopping Lamar Jackson, but that doesn't mean you're going to actually stop him. Easier said than done situation. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to that game, very much. That's probably
the Titans defense has to figure it out.
Yeah, that's probably the game I'm looking forward to most in the first round. Let's see.
The Bears Saints,
Seahawks, Rams, Bucks, somebody. Titans. I think Titans Ravens the best game. I think that's easily the best game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Worst defense in the playoffs. I was trying to think before. It might be the Titans or Browns, probably. I don't really trust the Browns defense a whole bunch. Best defense in the playoffs is the Rams. I think that's pretty wild.
what if Washington gets in?
Succeed. I still like the Rams better. I think there's a big difference in the secondary between those two teams. The Rams is much better, but I mean, you can argue Washington. That front seven's ridiculous. Rams is good too, though. I guess it depends on matchup. A lot of good offensive teams: Chiefs, Bills, Titans, Ravens, Browns when they're on. Packers are hot. Buccaneers are hot right now. Probably just missed somebody, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. First year with 7 teams from each conference. It's gonna be weird, but it's gonna be cool because there's 3 games instead of 2 on each day. But yeah, this went on pretty long, 56 minutes, and I gotta upload this somehow. Okay, we're gonna get it up.
Which one's the Nickelodeon game though?
The Nickelodeon game. Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah, there's definitely a game on Nickelodeon this year in the playoffs.
That's gonna be weird.
This is the Bears. I saw Bidcat tweeting something about that.
Oh.
Yeah.
You could put on Switch Trubisky.
Trubisky. He's going to have the game of his life, ladies and gentlemen. Will he do it? We'll find out. We'll find out who we're picking in the picks this week. We'll have score predictions. We got at least 10 videos coming out this week. I did the math. Is that math? I don't know. I counted up
Good number crunching.
Good. I crunched the numbers on the potential videos, the new playoff coverage videos we got. Cannot wait. Hopefully you can join us. Like, subscribe, do your thing. Follow us on Twitter. That's going to do it. Thanks for listening or watching wherever you are. Goodbye.
Goodbye again.